Hello everybody, the Lawn Gnome is here with the blue people. They're great, they're all just chilled out.
The celebrated Mr. K performs his feat on Saturday at Bishopsgate. Nice neck of the woods.
When it comes to music, it's been a long time coming until I actually had the idea to finally talk about my all-time favorite band, and that, of course, is Paul, John, George, and Ringo, the Beatles, the sensation, the gods of music that they are, the influences of everything that is music today. It's only appropriate that I finally got to do a throwback day, but I'm not going to review their specific actual albums. I want to actually bring to you guys two albums on this throwback day that are Beatles albums, but not quite Beatles albums. So we're going to start with the first Beatles album, and it's Beatles Love. This is a Beatles album that is based on the Cirque du Soleil show. This is the soundtrack. It was put together by the two remaining Beatles based around ideas that George Harrison had before he passed on. And what is this album really? Well, it's basically a mixture of all the Beatles songs that they could think of as they moved the Cirque du Soleil show along, and they intertwine them in a beautiful and perfect manner. There are also some great takes of Beatles songs that were actually featured as their versions in the anthology albums, which came out in the late 90s, like the a cappella version of Because, or the original cut of Strawberry Fields Forever. It also has a little bit of their history in there, sounds, clips from their movies that are intertwined into these songs, and it gets all of your senses going. That's been pretty much what the Beatles Love does. It's a beautiful take on Beatles music, and if you are a Beatles fan, I know that I'm a Beatles fan. I've known them since I was 5 years old. I knew their first and last names. My first song that I remember is All You Need Is Love, and I can basically not ever have to put a Beatles album into my CD player or onto my iTunes because I pretty much know these songs inside and out in my head. The Beatles are constantly playing in my head. So that's a great album. Another album that I want to bring to the table is this. It's not done by the Beatles, but it's Beatles music. It is the deluxe edition soundtrack to the film Across the Universe, starring Evan Rachel Wood and Jim Sturgis. Now, what I liked about Across the Universe is I really didn't care for the movie, by the way. I didn't like the fact that there was no character development, and it was really just about how many Beatles songs can we fit into this movie. But the music is fantastic. And what I love so much about it is, it's the Beatles songs that you know and love, but they're different and original all over again. And what I also really like is the fact that the vocalists are the actors Jim Sturgis and Evan Rachel Wood, as well as the other cast members. And you also have some very famous musicians, like Joe Cocker sang Come Together, and Bono sang Lucy in the Sky with Diamonds and I Am the Walrus. But I have to say the highlight of this album, without a doubt, is Eddie Izzard doing The Benefit of Mr. Kite. Because it's not like a song, it's more like an advertisement for his big show that he has, and that's why this album is so brilliant, because it takes these famous songs that have been around for almost 50 years, and they just turn them into something new and something fresh. And again, as a Beatles fan, you may not like the movie, but you will love this soundtrack. As I say about Across the Universe, this is the soundtrack that practically saved a movie. The only thing that I don't really like about this album in particular is the fact that there is an instrumental of A Day in the Life, beautifully played on a guitar in the film, that is not featured on this album, and it would have been great to actually have it. So, as a Beatles fan, these two albums are great. I don't know a single bad Beatles record, and I have lots of them. So if you haven't heard these two Beatles-influenced albums, I highly suggest you do. They are great, and if you ever get the chance to see the Beatles Love or see Across the Universe, let me know what your feedback is on that. And that will be my question for the day. Have you seen the Cirque du Soleil show? Have you seen Across the Universe? What are your thoughts? Do you like the movie? Do you love the show? Let me know. I am the Lawn Gnome, and remember that actions speak louder than words.